Could the Mets actually land Bregman and Alonso? We're going to talk about that and more today on Mostly Mets. All right, we're going to get into it here. Just wanted to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. Hope everyone's having some good times with their family and friends. Um, but yeah, just wanted to get into a little bit of news and rumors here. Uh, right before the holidays, the couple days before, there was a ton of talk that the Mets were involved with Alex Bregman, and that it also wouldn't take them out of getting Pete Alonso. It slowed down over the last couple days, obviously, with the holiday. People aren't working as much. You know, the reporters are spending time with their families, just like we are. Um, the teams, the players, nobody's really negotiating right now, and I feel like that's probably going to happen through the new year. You know, after January 1st, maybe it picks back up. But I think this is a time where everyone kind of just takes it easy. It's that weird week between Christmas and New Year's that nobody knows what to do with themselves. So I think that there's not going to be a ton that happens in the next week or so. That being said, there is some stories coming out now about possibly Alonso still thinking he's going to get $200 million. There was a story by John Heyman saying basically the Mets and Alonso need to just come together, and he wants to come back and just bring him back and make everyone happy. But if you're still wanting $200 million with the market the way it is now, he's kind of delusional. He's not going to get that from anyone. Uh, you can't be sentimental about those things. If the Mets don't feel like he's worth it and nobody feels like he's worth it, he's not going to get it, and he's just going to sit as a free agent for a long time until he comes to his senses or signs a short term deal. Um, but the Bregman news is very interesting. I never wanted Alex Bregman on the Mets, especially as a replacement for Pete Alonso. He's not he is a declining player. If you look at his numbers over the last 3 years, he has declined every year. So trying to bring him in as a centerpiece of your lineup or hitting behind Juan Soto, it's not going to work. It's just not. He's not the piece that you need there. He's a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. He's a good hitter. He's a good leader. He's won, but he's not going to provide the the pop in the lineup that you need. That's where Alonso comes in. You need to have Alonso back because you need more power in the lineup. Bregman would be great if you're bringing in both, but I wouldn't want Bregman and no Alonso. If you bring in Bregman, you still need a power hitter. You still need a power hitter. Also, I think if you bring in Bregman, you're really messing with Vientos. You're either moving him to first base if you don't bring Pete back, or you're moving him to DH if you do bring Pete back. And I think with a young player who's still developing, that's really dangerous to do. You don't know what that's going to do to his psyche. You don't know how that's going to mess with his head. You don't know how he might not be able to play first base. I know we all think first base is easy. You move from third base to first base, it's no big deal. Some guys can't do it. Some guys can't change position. Some guys don't want to change position. So I think that there would be a problem with that. Not, it's not definite that there would be, but you never know. Why would you want to mess with a kid who just had a kind of a breakout year last year and was great in the playoffs? Why would you want to mess with him? Just leave him where he is. Um, so if they are able to get both, that's when you may consider moving Vientos. But even then, I'm kind of anti Bregman at this point. I get why it's intriguing. I I think for the first year or two, it would be great having the Mets would have one of the deepest lineups in baseball. There's no question about that. They would be able to compete with the Dodgers in terms of their lineup. But Bregman is going to want 5, 6, 7 years, and as a declining player, you're probably only going to get 2 years of great performance before he declines even more to a point where he shouldn't even be on the field every day. But you're going to be paying him so much money that you're going to have to keep him on the field every day. I giving him 25, $30 million a year for the next 7 years. I just don't think it's going to age well. It's not going to turn out. He's going to be one of those players that we boo and that we can't wait till he's out of town. That's just how it's going to be. Um, I think bringing back Pete on a short-term high AV contract, he's already a fan favorite. He's going to be fine, even if he is declining. He's still going to be breaking Mets records. He's still going to be our one of our guys because he's a homegrown guy. Bringing in a free agent like Bregman, who is already declining and is only going to continue to decline, he's going to be hated. He's going to get booed. He's going to hate being with the Mets. We're going to hate him. He's going to hate us, and we're going to want him out. So I think we need to be careful about the Alonso and Bregman thing. Seems like the pitching staff is kind of set after signing Mania. So I don't see any big moves there. Plus, there's only about 70 million or so left that they're under where they were last year. That like they're around the 340, 350 million mark. And I don't necessarily think they want to get there. I don't think they want to be at $350 million every year. They also want to leave some room in the budget to be able to go after guys in the future. So I think instead of using that money to Bregman to improve the lineup, use that money in the bullpen. We need bullpen pieces. Yes, there's some guys in there that are okay, but you need a setup man. You need quality guys in the bullpen. Look at how the Dodgers were built last year. They had six guys coming out of the bullpen that were better than anyone we had. That's what's really going to elevate the team. So let's say they're going to spend another $50 million. Okay, well, $25 million for Pete, and then you can spend $25 million more. That's two really good relievers. That's maybe even three really good relievers, and then maybe it's two really good relievers, and bring back Jesse Winker, and have Winker and Marte kind of platoon at the DH spot. I don't think that's the worst idea in the world. Now, I don't think Winker is a great player. I think we like Winker because of his attitude and because of he seems to want to be a Met and he liked being here and he provided something I think in that clubhouse that they were lacking a little bit, which is that toughness and that hard nosed kind of play style. I think he added. Um, do I think he's a perfect player? No. Do I think Marte is perfectly fit for a DH? Absolutely not. But maybe you put those guys together, and between the two of them, they have a solid season. I think that's a better route to go. I think you improve the bullpen as much as you can. I don't think they're going to improve pitching anymore. They're starting pitching because I think Stearns is comfortable with what he has. He has, three or four projects that he thinks he can fix, and then you add that with Manaya and Senga, and I think in their mind they have a shot at Sasaki. Whether they do or not, I think they think that they're in the mix for him. That would be the only wild card. I think that's the only way we're improving starting pitching in any way is getting Sasaki. So really, I don't know that the Mets actually are the favorite to land Bregman and Alonso. I think Alonso they are the favorite. I don't think anyone else is interested. Or if they are, they're not. He doesn't want to go there. It might be Seattle, and Seattle's kind of a place where hitters go to die. They don't do well in Seattle, and it makes too much sense for him to come back. There's no way he doesn't come back unless he's just mad at this point and doesn't want to return to the Mets because he feels disrespected. That's the only reason I can see him not coming back. Bregman, I think, is probably going to end up either with the Red Sox or the Tigers. Um, it seems like the Red Sox are kind of in the lead for him, although it's gone dark for a couple days because nobody's doing anything. But that was the last reports I saw that it was the Red Sox leading, with kind of the Mets and Tigers behind the Red Sox. So I think there might be a little bit of you know Alonso and Boris are both Alonso and Bregman are both represented by Scott Boris. He's might be playing teams off each other. He's going to uh, you know he's going to the Red Sox and saying, "Well, the Mets are involved," even if they're not, because the Mets are not allowed to come out and say, "We're not involved. We don't want Bregman." If Boris calls the Mets and says, "Hey, you have any interest in Bregman?" and they say, "No, not really. We're not that interested," he can then go and say, "Well, I spoke to the Mets. The Mets are involved," even though they told him we're out. We're not making an offer because the Mets can't admit that, he could say whatever he wants. And I think he's also doing that with Alonso. It seems like Alonso has no market. Boris is scared of that. An article came out from John Heyman saying that Alonso's still looking for $200 million. That's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Um, so yeah, in my opinion, we should stay away from Bregman unless it's such a short-term deal. If you get him, he wants to test the market again in a year or two. Maybe you do a 2-year deal with an opt-out high AAV. That's fine because it's not a long-term contract. I think if you get Bregman, you're stuck in your core for the next 5 years, no matter what. You have Nimmo signed long term, Lindor signed long term, Soto signed long term. You have young guys in Alvarez and Vientos who you hope are still there in 5 years as long as they continue to perform. And then you would add Bregman into that and Alonso into that. You have no wiggle room, especially on long term. If they're all on long term contracts, you can't you can't mix and match. Right now, I think the Mets have their core of Lindor and Soto, and you want to be able to build around those two guys. However, because you don't know how they're going to play together, you don't know how everything's going to work out. So if you have those two guys as your core that you know you're going to have for the next 7 or 8 years, you want to be able to plug other guys in there. If you sign Bregman, you already assume that you're signing Alonso, but it's not going to be a long term deal like you thought. It's not going to be 7 years. It's not going to be 8 years. It's going to be 3 or 4 years. If you sign Bregman, you're locked in for the next 5 years. So even if it doesn't go well, you're locked in. You can't do anything about it because those contracts are going to be untradeable. If a guy's making $30 million a year and he's declining at 33 years old, you're not going to be able to trade him. I mean, look at even Arenado right now with the Cardinals. There was a lot of talk that teams were involved with Arenado and the Yankees were involved. He would like to go to the Mets. The Astros were trying to trade for him, but he declined it. And he's probably not going anywhere. And if he does, the Cardinals are going to have to pay a lot of his salary, and they're going to get nothing in return. So these contracts become an albatross. We already have that. Soto is going to be an albatross 10 years from now, 12 years from now. It's going to look like a really bad contract. Lindor, he's already 32 years old. In 5 years, that's going to look like a bad contract. So you don't want to keep adding those contracts as you go. I know we're a big market team and we want to spend money and we're waiting on this for so long, but it's you can't just throw money at everyone. It doesn't fix anything. You have to develop your own guys. You have to bring your own guys up. You can't just rely on veterans who are you're paying for what they did and not what they're going to do. And that's what Bregman is. You're paying for what he did. Bregman hasn't been good. Well, he's been good, but he hasn't been a top of the line guy since 2019. That's his last great season. You're paying for a name. You're paying for what he did. You're not paying for what he's going to do for you. Do I think he would help for a year or two? 100%. He would deepen their lineup. He would be great for a year or two. But then after that, it's not worth it. So I wouldn't trade 5 years of bad for 1 or 2 years of good. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Um, that's really all I wanted to talk about in terms of Alonso and Bregman. I think it's possible. I think it's possible only if they're willing to both accept short-term deals. I don't think Stearns is dumb. I don't think he's gonna just throw money at a situation. But you never know. You get enough pressure from the fans. Hopefully, he's not listening to us because he knows a lot more than we do. But I get the want of going for it. We want to go for it, but you have to also realize that in a year or two, you're going to hate yourself for that. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like that guy. So that's really all I wanted to say. I want to know what you guys think. Please comment. Do you think we should get Bregman? Do you think we should continue to wait out Alonso, or do you think we should just get him on the team? Um, subscribe if you're still here watching this video. Like, comment, share, all that stuff that everyone says. But I would like to know what you guys are thinking. Um, but yeah, I'll talk to you again soon, and until next time, let's go Mets.